Fill your thirst beside the river. Wash the journey from your hand. Feel the comfort flow inside you.
Hi. Welcome to Healing Outside the Box.
I'm
Rosemary, Lachance, an energy healer and spiritual teacher.
Hi, and I'm Dina, Scungio, a student and teacher of spirituality.
And this is our 159th show. This show is a live call-in show. While we'll still have guests from time to time, we're also going to do shows which will give you food for thought information about spirituality based on the teachings of Hans Wilhelm from his website, www.lifeexplained.com. We will play one or two different DVDs on each show and then have dialogue about it. We welcome and encourage you to call in and ask your questions. We also encourage you to send emails to me or write letters to this station asking your questions about the show. We'll answer them on the show or privately if you prefer. This is not a religious show, and no matter what religion or belief you follow, the information we give will only enhance your beliefs. We do not try to convince you of anything. If you have a group that you think would be interested in what we have to offer, I'm available to come to your group and teach from the Life Explained series. We will give you our contact information at the end of the show.
To find out what shows are playing in your area and when they are playing, please contact the public service channel in your town. And also, please like our show on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box. And enjoy the show.
Okay, now we're going to play the first video. The title of the show is Soulmates and the Power of Oneness. And this is from the Life Explained series number 5, and we're going to show the DVD on soulmates.
Hi, I'm Hans Wilhelm. One of the questions that I receive most is about soulmates. There's so much confusion out there. And in today's short video, I would like to share with you 5 surprising facts that you may have never have heard about before. Firstly, we have to understand that we are spiritual beings and we do have a spiritual home. And in our spiritual home, we all have a soulmate, also called a dual or a twin flame.
A soulmate is our other half that totally complements us. But only in rare cases, soulmates incarnate together at the same time. And in such cases, they often have committed themselves to help the world with some wonderful work like a new teaching or a healing or anything else that would be of great benefit to society and planet Earth. In such cases, soulmates incarnate together to help each other in order to fulfill their monumental task. But for most of us, it's a different story. Most of us are here for less lofty reasons. So my answer to the question, how can I find my soulmate, may surprise many. We are not supposed to be with our soulmate here on Earth. Let me explain, because this goes against many New Age teachings. Remember when we were young and had a real close buddy? It may have been our best friend, our sister, our brother, our mother, our father, grandparents, or anybody else whom we felt extremely close to. It could have even been our pet. Someone who was always there for us and helped us, comforted us, and on whom we could totally depend. And then one day our parents sent us off to college. Now what happened? Suddenly we are all alone, facing the whole new world with new challenges all on our own. None of our friends, our family members, not even our dog or security blanket came with us to help us, comfort us, and hold our hand as we were facing this great unknown world. The same happens when we incarnate. As cruel as it may appear initially, it is all part of our spiritual evolutionary process. We are left to our own devices here on Earth. We are here to learn to listen to our own inner divine guidance and follow our own intuition. So why don't we have somebody like a soulmate by our side? We are here to become aware of the love within us and to express it. This divine love that is in all of us is our true strength and power in our life, our connection with divinity. We have all heard about this God within, or Christ within, or the kingdom is within. But it is not easy to understand and to appreciate this process and rely on this inner power. Instead, whenever we feel low in energy, We usually crave and draw energy from the outside world. May it be energy from other people, food, drugs, or many other sources. What we are really looking for is love. But if we rely too much on the strength, guidance, or love from another human being, like for instance our soulmate, we are not learning the most profound lesson, that we don't need love because we are love. We are all one with God. I think Byron Katie put it so well when she said, "If I had a prayer, it would be this: God, spare me from the desire for love, approval, or appreciation. Amen." We have to learn total self-acceptance and self-approval, and to become secure with ourselves, totally free of the need to be loved and approved and appreciated by other people. In other words, we firstly have to marry ourselves. If we crave for a partner to love us and to give our life purpose, we put a terrible burden on that partner. Part of our reason why we are here on earth is to discover this inner jewel, this divine love within us. And to achieve it, we initially have to embark on this quest alone. Our soulmate would only distract us. That's why we go to college alone. And in the same way, earth is also a college for our soul. But that does not mean we should spend our life alone here on earth. Living alone in seclusion is not helpful for our spiritual growth. We need other people to interact with and to love and serve. Therefore, we may not have our soulmate with us, but we surely can have a soul partner, or even several soul partners. Our soul partners are here to support and to challenge us. A soul partner is different from a soulmate. As we've discussed earlier, a soulmate is somebody who totally completes and complements us. Somebody who is in total harmony with us, just like two halves making one whole. There are no frictions between these two halves. Just like a raw diamond, which needs cutting, grinding, and polishing before it sparkles, so do we need some friction to grow and develop. And a soulmate does not give that to us. Comfort and evolution don't go together. Now, a soul partner is a little different to a soulmate. He or she is also somebody we can feel very close to. We can experience profound and deep love, bliss, and oneness with them. May it be in marriage, friendship, business relationship, or even with members of our immediate family. But the soul partner gives us more than our soulmate can give us. They challenge us, they frustrate us, yes, they can even drive us crazy. And that is part of their duty, because they are here to reflect back to us what we still have to learn and overcome, or what we have to learn to love. Whatever upsets us in our partner is usually a reflection of our own shortcomings. The soul partners are our mirrors. If you want to know more about this fascinating dynamic, I suggest you may want to watch my short video on the law of projection. Our soul partners are wonderful and helpful substitutes for our soulmates, and we have often spent many, many lifetimes together with them.
Once we have discovered and developed this divine love within ourselves, we will see the world very differently. Instead of looking for our one and only soulmate, we will then suddenly understand on a much deeper level that in actuality everybody around us is in truth also our soulmate. Because there is no separation, it is all one. There's only one of us.
Think about this. Isn't any person we are interacting with right now, strictly speaking, the most important person in our life at this moment? Just like our soulmate? And when we truly come from love, we are basically in love with everyone and everything. We will then treat everyone with reverence and respect, just like we would treat our own personal soulmate. And then we have used our years at Earth College wisely.
Well, it's quite a different view than we're used to knowing, right?
It is.
Very much so. We've always thought that we needed a soulmate, someone to live with the rest of our life happily ever after. But it's true what they say. When we have that, no one to rub us the wrong way, we don't learn. We don't learn what's in us.
I never would have. I never thought that was. I never would have thought that. I never would have believed that. That it was that way. But I can understand it.
Me neither. Before I learned this, I didn't know either.
It seems like we spend our whole life looking for a soulmate, out there because we want to have that ultimate relationship here on this earth as we do in heaven. And some people do come, and when they do come together, is it for only teaching purposes, or?
What do you mean? Some people do come.
Well, he said that sometimes people, sometimes soulmates incarnate together, actual soulmates.
Yeah.
But is it only for teaching others, or?
Yeah, sometimes they come together to teach together other people. You know, they learn and grow together. You know, like we said, when you get married, you're like this. Usually one person starts to grow and the other one doesn't, and that's what causes the rift, that causes the divorce. But if it's really your soulmate, you'll grow together, and then together you'll teach. In other words, a relationship between a man and a woman should encompass, it should be inclusive. It should bring everyone in to send that love out and teach and bring everyone in. But a lot of people make it exclusive, where it's only the two people, and they exclude all others. And that's why soulmates don't usually come, because that's what happens. There's no learning, there's no growth, there's nothing. You're just totally into each other. Like they said in that movie, Jerry Maguire, you complete me, he said. See that? And I thought, oh, how romantic at the time. But then I realized that nobody should complete anybody. You should become a whole person. You meet another whole person, and together you grow and learn, and then the idea to come together is to teach other people. Help to learn.
I think one of the biggest problems that people face, especially people in my generation, I mean, kids today are much better loved. I would say they're much more loved. They're much better treated. There's a huge awareness on child abuse these days, and treating kids better than they used to be treated in the past. And I think that one of the biggest issues with people my age is that we weren't treated the same back then. Kids weren't taught love the way they are taught now. Kids weren't they weren't shown approval like they are now. I mean, there's a lot of focus now on children these days, which is finally, it's a good thing. Finally a good thing that people are realizing that the old saying of children are to be seen and not heard, I never agreed with anyway.
Yeah, that was a really old saying.
I
Yeah.
never agreed with that. I mean, I used to think when someone said that to me, well, then why'd you have me? You know?
Right.
I'm not a picture to hang on the wall,
Yeah.
you know? But, and so you hear things like that, and how do you learn to love yourself? If we're all complete
Right.
love,
Exactly.
then how do we love ourselves if we're told, well, you're just here to be seen, not heard?
Exactly.
No one cares what you have to say. Just go sit in the corner. People have a real hard time learning how to love themselves when they're treated like that.
Yes, they do.
And that was a big thing in our generation.
Well, in my generation, that's what they did with us.
Mm.
Okay? Oh, yeah, there were some relatives who really loved, but my parents were dysfunctional. They didn't really know how to do that. But when I had you and your brother, I said to myself, no, this has to stop. You can't treat people like that, and that's why I try to raise you both with the love but with the discipline. The only problem today is sometimes they don't discipline the way they should, and the kids talk back to their parents something terrible, and they don't treat them with respect.
Mm.
So there's got to be a happy medium with the love and the respect.
Yeah.
There
has to be.
Teaching children to love themselves, you're right, and to love others and to have respect for all life. That's what they should do, and that you can't go wrong if you do that.
No.
It has to be the discipline.
Most people are what he was talking about for love, approval, and appreciation. I think 90% of the population strives for love, approval, and appreciation because people don't feel appreciated anymore. And but I've noticed in my job, I work as a paramedic, and I've been there quite a long time. And there's a lot of new young people that are coming in now. 19. I was 19 when I started. There's some 19 and 20-year-olds. They come in, and it's not an easy job. I mean, You know,
no.
when you work in the city, it's a hustle, hustle, hustle. You do a crazy call, you get yelled at to get back on the road. You're constantly being yelled at. And kids these days, they're not used to being yelled at like that. So, you know, they don't want to be treated bad. I mean, you know, you get treated bad and we just shrug it off and we go back out on the road and whatever. You know, the kids these days, they don't want to be treated. You start yelling at them, they say, you know what? I could stay home with mom till I'm 25. I don't need this from you. Bye-bye. And they don't take it. They don't take it well. And I sort of honor them for that, because nobody should be treated that way. Everybody should be valued and appreciated. And, you know, like he said, treat everyone with respect at all times. Treat everyone like you care about them. Treat everyone like they're your soulmate. There's no need for any of that.
But then we go back to the law of cause and effect, the law of learning, the law of karma. If you're being treated that way, there's a reason for it. It's not because you're a bad person or you don't measure up, but something, for some reason, you either believe that law, everything happens for a reason, and the reason's always your spiritual growth. Now, if these young people say, I don't need this anymore, I'm going to live with my mother, bye-bye, if they do that, what are they learning? Because when they go back out at 25 and get a job, they're going to run into the same thing until they learn to let that roll off their back, until they learn to realize that the people who are doing that have problems. They have problems of their own. Maybe it's what you said. When you don't love yourself, you have a really hard time in this world, because it really stops you from loving other people. All right? It's just a bad thing, and it's hard to get that back as you're getting older, to learn to love yourself. It's really, really hard, because you depend on other people to give you something, and when they disappoint you, you go back to square one again. So I see where you're coming from with that, but that's what we're here for, to learn. I was thinking the other day, and I wanted to mention this, just came to me, just like that. I heard this voice say, Earth is not a place where we come for a vacation. Nobody comes to Earth to have a vacation, to in other words, just to play and have fun and do all these great things here. We come to Earth to learn. This is a school. We come to work, to learn, and then when we get back, we have our vacation.
I signed up on the vacation list.
You went the wrong list. The wrong list.
I signed up on the beach list with the palm trees and the pink flamingos. That's the list. How did I not get on that list?
They thought you meant when you came back, that's your land. You're going to go to Florida land, summer land, palm tree land. There's all kind of lands over on the other side.
Man, I got gypped.
Yeah.
Big time.
That's true. Whatever you really love over here on this planet is where you're from over there, in the different worlds, the different heavens that are up there. You know, that's where you'll go back. But you're pretty funny. But if people would keep that in mind, I didn't come here to buy all wonderful things, to have vacations, to lay around, to do this. We came here to work, and the work is college. This is, like Hans puts it, this is Earth College. We're learning every day. And then we get a break. And we do things, we have fun, you know, it's all mixed in together. But when you're not being treated well, the best thing to do is not run away from it, but try to find out the reason. And when somebody doesn't treat you well, try to find out why they're like that. What makes them like that? Have the compassion for them, for somebody who's angry all the time, or a lot of the times. Try to understand. You know, the understanding will take the anger from that person. Whereas, remember I said about somebody's upset and they have logs burning, you throw some more logs on their fire, and the fire is going to get bigger, and nothing's ever solved. Trying to have the compassion. It's tough. Because I told you in the store, I had that woman yell at me, and while she was yelling at me, I started to get angry, and then all of a sudden, I thought, wait a minute, this is not the way to handle it. Remember I told you, and I said to her, somebody must have hurt you really badly, huh? And all of a sudden, her face, like, totally changed. Tears came into her eyes. And she started to tell me a story of what happened to her. And she was different from then on. Whenever she came into the store.
When you owned your store.
Yeah, when I owned my health food store. So that little compassion, and even if it doesn't work right away, keep trying.
Well, yeah, somebody will just maybe yell at you and say, what do you know? And continue on and run out. But, you know, there are people out there who've suffered tremendous hurt in their lives. And the hardest thing to understand is that if you don't believe if you don't have a belief system, if you don't believe in God or there's a greater spirit or someone else to handle the burdens for you, you pile it all on yourself, and it gets to the point where you can't take it anymore. You have no strength left to carry those burdens. And if you don't have a good foundation in religion or a good belief in that, you just feel like sometimes you're all alone out there. There's no one else out there to help you. It's so freeing to give your life to, how do I say it, to give your life over to God or to Jesus, or to let him handle the burdens that you put on yourself all the time, the burdens that you carry. It's uplifting, it's freeing, it's such a good feeling to know that, to understand that everything happens for a reason. Nobody's a victim. And you can't just have faith when things are going well. You have to have faith when things aren't going well, because you have to understand ultimately that everything is happening for your further, for your education, for you to move on, for you to, for us all eventually to get back there.
For your spiritual growth.
For your spiritual growth, right. And if you want something to happen real bad and you pray and pray and pray and it doesn't happen, and then you get mad about it, it'll steal your energy. Instead of saying, well, you know what? Maybe that wasn't such a good idea for me. Maybe what I was really praying for, or who I was really praying for, I really wanted to go out with this guy. I prayed and he wouldn't date me. Maybe down the road he would have been awful to you and you would have regretted it. And you just didn't see it then. You give it over to God. You give it over to Jesus. You say, you know what? You handle it. If this is where you want me to be, that's where I'll be. I'll be there eventually. And if it's not what it's meant to be for me, if that's not what you want for me in my life, then it won't happen. When I was a kid, I used to think, God, how can he handle all of us? There's so many of us on this planet. How can he handle each individual thought and wish and hope and everything for every single soul on this planet? That's a lot.
Everyone asked that question. What did you come up with for an answer?
Well, I realized that he has help from his guardian angels, number one. And number two, I think that we all plan out our path before we come, as far as things we want to learn, and things we want to go through and things we want to experience. And I lost my train of thought of something I was going to say.
How can God watch over everybody and hear everybody's prayers and hear? That's what you had said.
I feel like if you... And I lost my train of thought.
That happens.
If you give it over to him and you just let's just say I was waiting for a position at a job, and I really wanted the position, but I wasn't hearing. I heard a little bit about it, and then I didn't hear anything again. And I was worrying about it and wondering, is this going to change things? Is this going to be good for my life? Is it something I really want, but is it something that's going to be good for me? Is it something that's going to make me happy in the long run? I really didn't know. But yet I really wanted the position. I kept hemming and hawing about it and thinking, you know what? I'm just going to give it up. I'm not going to bug them. They know what my heart is. They know what I want to do. And if it's right for me, then God will put me in that position. And if it's not right for me, as much as I want it, something else will fall into place. And that's where I've felt free lately. When I was going to say, when I was a kid, I would never ask God for anything because I thought that my burdens weren't bad enough. Like I could still see and I could still walk and I could still breathe on my own, and I had all the basic things that were good, even though bad things were happening. Basically, things weren't as bad as they could be. So I thought that the only time you prayed to God was when you wanted something that it was really bad and you needed help. Well, then I realized that, like your parents, your mom, you don't want me to just come and talk to you when I need something. You want me to talk to you all the time. You want me to call you and say, hey, how are you? Well, I think he's the same way. I think God's the same way. So I started to try to develop a thing where I talk to him, and not in public, because people see me talking in public and no one's there, they start to say, oh. But, yeah, I mean, you try to talk.
Well, he hears our thoughts. Angels and God and Christ, they hear our thoughts. Spirits, our loved ones who have passed over, they can't hear our thoughts. We have to speak loud when we talk to them. But the rest, they hear our thoughts too, so you can talk to them in your mind anytime.
Oh, that confused me, because I thought
Yeah.
you said when you're talking you have to talk out loud because they don't always hear your thoughts.
For spirits, for our loved ones who have passed over, our friends, you know, the souls, they can only hear when we talk out loud. They can't read our thoughts. But God reads your thoughts, Christ reads your thoughts, and the angels read your thoughts, and the animals read your thoughts. That's how animals communicate in pictures. So, what are you thinking?
Well, all the times I'm driving to work in my car and I'm talking out loud, I guess I don't have to do that anymore.
Not if you're talking with God, no. But you could.
And the people next to me going, you talking or singing?
Not these days,
I
because
don't
they
know.
got those things in their ear, so you never know if somebody's talking to you or talking. I've answered people when they were talking on a cell phone in their ear, and then I look, they didn't answer me back, and I look, oh my God, they weren't talking to me, you know.
Do you ever have you're thinking about something, and or you're just falling off to sleep, and you hear someone yell your name out?
Yes. Oh yeah.
That's
And
been happening a lot lately.
My son did that. Your brother the other night, and I heard, Mom. You know, just like that. It's been happening to you a lot lately.
Yeah.
It's spirit.
It's a lot
talking
lately.
to you. Yeah. He's calling you,
Or
talking to
trying to
someone.
make me pay it. I think lately, I haven't been paying attention well to people, because I've been, lost in a lot of things that are going on in life right now. And every once in a while, I hear that. I hear it loud and clear. They call my name out.
Oh yeah,
Dina.
your name. Yeah,
Dina,
I've heard them
yep.
call my name too, Rosemary. You know.
Yeah, it's like
that,
they scream your name out,
Yeah.
and it, oh, well,
Oh yeah, that's good to know, because that's been happening to me too.
I wonder what that's about.
Well, that's what they're trying to do, get your attention. Maybe too, to let you know that, for sure there's life on the other side. That this isn't all there is. I mean, that would be so totally frustrating to me, to think this is all there is. It's just not enough.
No.
But you were saying about before, to back up, when you said about you have to accept that maybe you didn't get it, wasn't good for you. That's what people have a hard time doing. They can't accept that. They want, I want. And that wanting leaves you in a constant state of unhappiness, because you're never getting what you want. So you're always unhappy because you can't let it go. Do what you can to get it, and then let it go, turn it over. And if it's the best thing for you, and you tell that to God or Christ or whoever you want to talk to, or your angels, then you'll have it. Resting in your heart, knowing that if it's good for me, I'll get it. If it's not, it wasn't good, so I can leave it alone. I'll move on to something else.
And maybe it wasn't good for your growth, for your journey back,
Yeah.
I was wondering too, when you're reincarnated without your soulmate, are they also reincarnated in a different area, a different time zone, a different?
They may be, but more than likely they're not incarnated. More than likely they're still on the other side. And sometimes they will contact you in your dreams, or when you're, it's not really a dream because you're having soul travel, or somehow like that, they'll work with you from the other side. Or sometime when you need a little hug or something. I've had dreams about a male figure who has given me hugs and made me feel good when in my sleep. And I don't know who it is, but I feel like I do know them. And I feel that that's probably my soulmate. Just give me a little thing just to let me know that, he's around, because I know he's not here. Not for me. No, not at my age. No, he's not here.
I got a hug from Garth Brooks in my dream.
I know you love
but
him.
I've never had that experience. Not in dreams or anything.
Yeah.
No.
But I've had that quite often, and even more lately. So that's good. You get it when you need it. So that's what I'm saying. This is the place we come to learn and grow. And when you have that exclusive relationship with someone, you're not learning and growing, and you're not encompassing everyone and taking them in. From the love that you have, you spread it out to other people and help them. And that's what it's all about here. Okay, anything else on that? So we'll move on to the second one.
Well, I was just thinking, too, that he was talking about people who don't realize that they're made out of love or constantly craving it. and when they can't get it, they crave other things like food or drugs or alcohol. Is probably why I encounter a lot of alcoholics in my job, and you know, sometimes they're to the point where you can't really have a conversation with them, or if you do, they won't remember it. But there's a lot of times where I try to say to them, you know, what happened? What made you like this? And sometimes, you know, sometimes people will have a terrible event. Like one of the guys we used to pick up all the time was you know, we picked him up for years, and he was always angry, and people were always picking at him and stuff. And then one day he was not quite drunk enough that he didn't know what was going on. I started to talk to him, and I said, you know, what happened? Why are you doing this to yourself? You're killing yourself, you know? And he told me about how his wife and his daughter, they were all in the car together on the way somewhere, and they got into an accident, and they were both killed. And that's why he started drinking. He lost everything. He lost the house. He lost it all. But there are some people, like there was one guy I had, and I talked to him. He didn't have a reason. He's like, I don't know. I would guess I was just born like this. And I thought there's got to be something
he's
there
not aware
that
of right now. Yeah.
that he's craving love or affection or something so bad that he's just
You're right
replacing
about
it with
that.
the alcohol.
Food, sex, drugs, and liquor take the place.
Mm.
I mean, a little liquor, a little drink now and then, a little happy hour. It takes the edge off, helps you to relax. But if you're getting drunk every day, yeah, there's a problem. And that, you're right. That's what it does. It takes the place of usually love. That's what it does. It takes the place of our desire for love and to be loved, to share love, to get love, and all that. That's what we are. We're love. We are that. So
I think one of the best message out there is that everyone you see, you should treat as if they're your soulmate, and also treat everyone with respect at all times, because, like I try to say to people, some people say to me, you know, you've been doing this for 28 years. How come you're so nice still? And it's like, I think, well, you know what? Everybody's got a life story. We don't know it. I mean, we have a small encounter with them, and they're many years on this planet. We have this much time to say, hey, how are you? I'm here to help. You know, what can I do for you? How can I help you? What's going on? Some people call 911 because they're lonely, believe it or not.
Yeah.
They're just lonely. I had a woman call 911 once because she was lonely. She called because she said she wasn't able to go to the bathroom for a couple of days. But then when we got there, she opened the door after we knocked, and I said, or 911, we're here to help. She goes, I'm good, I don't need you anymore. I went to the bathroom, and I'm like, hallelujah, it's party time. And she started to laugh so hard she cried. And I knew that she just wanted someone around. Some people are just lonely.
yeah, they are.
And they crave that attention and that care, and everybody's got a life story.
I know.
That's what you got to try to remember when people are being mean all the time. So.
All right. Well, I think we'll go on to the next video, and I wanted to tell you, please call in. This is a live show, so if you have any questions, just give us a call if you just want to say hello. All right. So as soon as they get ready in the control room, we'll play the second DVD, and it's called The Power of Oneness.
Hi, I'm Wilhelm. And in this video in the Life Explained series, I would like to talk about the power of oneness. The understanding and experiencing of oneness is the essence of the spiritual path. Our true identity is being one with all that is. Now, it's not easy when with our own eyes we don't seem to be connected with everything around us. But let me explain this with a typical example of the waterfall. It starts as a big river flowing towards the edge of the mountain. Then the river suddenly separates into billions of little water droplets falling down the fall. And when they arrive at the bottom, all the droplets become one big river again. Our individual existence can be compared to a droplet from the top of the fall to the bottom. And as we fall down, we imagine we appear separate from all other droplets, but in truth, we are all one. Let's look at the word individual. It comes from the Latin word individualis, which means indivisible, inseparable, one with. And that is the true and original meaning of the word individual. Now, the Greek philosopher Heraclitus said it so well. All things come out of the one, and the one out of all things. Here is another simple analogy of the hand. The fingers of this hand are like unique individual human beings, you and I, and everybody else around us. But we are all connected and all united. This imagined belief in separation is the cause of all suffering, troubles and pain. All our emotions are the result of beliefs in separation. Separation from each other, and most of all, separation from God. Strictly speaking, all our emotions and beliefs are lies that we have told ourselves because we believe we are alone and separate from everyone and everything else. The Dutch philosopher Spinoza understood this well and based his most important work, the Ethics, on this premise. For him, it was not reasonable to feel anger if somebody hurts us. A person with a clear understanding of oneness accepts whatever happens. For Spinoza, God was the sum total of everyone and everything in the cosmos. In other words, the other person is part of us. This is not some New Age spiritual stuff. No, according to quantum mechanics and particle physics, the American theoretical physicist Dr. David Bohm states that we are not only connected to one another as human beings, we are also connected as mind, energy and matter to one another and to all living organisms. This interconnectedness leads directly to the idea that there is a consciousness or intelligence that underlies all that is visible, and it is this consciousness that gives us humans power beyond our imagination. End of quote. This is the power of oneness. Power beyond our imagination, because we are all one with all there is. The American mystics Edgar Cayce suggests to see this oneness as fullness. And when we make ourselves aware that we are part of this fullness, how can we have thoughts of lack, separation or loneliness? These are all false beliefs based on an imagined separation. All illness comes from the belief in separation, and all wellness comes from feeling the oneness of fullness. Now you may argue that there is a lot of stuff you really don't want to be part of, like crime, war, abuse, killing and other horrors. Does oneness also include such components? Most certainly it does. For us to experience the world we are living in, we need to orient ourselves, and we can only do this in an environment of polarities, of contrasts. To know good, we need to know have bad, and to know hot, we need to know cold, and so on. Everything has its opposite polarity. I will speak about this on another video shortly. The path to oneness leads through embracing both sides of polarity. This means also embracing the negative and the undesirable. A master is not afraid of being one with everything, like all the human suffering and pain. A master would ask, what would it be if I could be one with that? Like truly being one with that person who is in trouble. Then something amazing happens. When we dare to be one with something that bothers or even upsets us, we will discover the amazing gift it has for us. There's always a gift in every nightmare. It cannot be otherwise. Often it is the greatest gift that is hidden in the opposite. Remember the old Chinese sign of yin-yang? There is always a white spot in the dark part, and that is the gift waiting for us. Once we have decided to become friends with everything, the good, the bad, the beautiful, the ugly, the ill and the healthy, the up and the down, simply everything, we begin to understand that everything benefits us. There is nothing in life that does not benefit us on some level. Everything is medicine, as somebody once said. And Einstein reminded us that this is a friendly universe, even if it doesn't look that way to the casual onlooker. Dr. Mark Thurston said it so well. Oneness and wholeness means the capacity to embrace, appreciate and integrate every aspect of life. Nothing is rejected. The surprising fact is that what we most want we already have, which is oneness. All we need is to correct our focus. There is nothing that is exterior of us or separate from us. It is all part of us. Grasping this simple truth can unleash the power of an energetic, grateful and amazing life, where we treat everyone and everything with reverence, free of envy and jealousy or rejection of others. That is the power of oneness.
So
I'd like to
What do you
meet
think
him
about that?
someday. He seems like
Honest-
such a nice guy.
yeah, he said he would be on the show, so we're going to have him. We do a few more of these shows, and then he's going to come on and
Yeah?
talk with us. Yeah.
Oh, I hope I am available.
Yeah, I'll
Well,
make it a night when you are available. Yeah.
that'd be great. I would
Yeah,
really
you'll
like
love
to
him.
meet
He's a delightful man.
He seems
He's
like
a great sense of humor, dry sense of humor, and just a sweet, sweet man. Really
seems
nice
like he's
person.
got a lot of positive energy in him.
Yeah, he does. He does.
Mhm.
He's had his struggles in life, but he's doing really well.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Oh.
great guy.
I like his analogy about the waterfall.
Yeah,
That's
was
pretty
nice.
that's pretty interesting.
Uh-huh.
This goes back to what we were talking about once before about oneness. You know, I think one of the biggest things is people like they say conformity. You know, everybody's
Yes.
together.
Yeah.
But I think one of the biggest things people search for that they don't understand what they're searching for is that oneness. I think conformity is sort of a blanket of the oneness. I think that people just want to be a part of something.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
So they conform because that's the only way they know how.
You're
know,
right.
they're not
You're absolutely
taught.
right. Yes.
They're not taught what it's really about.
Even if they don't agree with it in their mind and their heart, they'll still stay and accept it because they're a part of something. People like that community, you know?
I wonder when, I mean, as far as I can see back with earlier times, people, like in the beginning times of people, they used to all live together in a big community. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, they would have their separate little areas for when they went off to
sleep.
to make children or
yeah.
sleep, whatnot. But for the most part,
Yeah,
people
they-
stayed together.
Right. And they lived in a very close-knit community, and they usually had their meals together, and everybody raised each other's children together. And, it was a very nice way to, that's why some of the younger people started these communes. But unfortunately, some of these communes, someone took over, became a leader, and led the people in the wrong way on some of them. And that spoils it for the ones that are really, there's some really nice places out there that still do this, you know?
That's why I like that the church that I go to. I feel like there's like we're one big giant family.
Mhm.
I feel like you feel like you're part of something, and I've met some wonderful people at this.
What kind of church is it? What's it called?
It's called Gateway Christian Fellowship.
But what kind of,
It's a non-denominational
just
church.
it's not a Unitarian.
No.
It's non-denominational. That's it.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I
yeah.
really enjoy being there.
That's better because you can learn all different things from all different ways, which is something very nice. And if people would like to, you know, feel that community, they should do that.
There's many different nationalities of people that come there,
Mhm.
and the pastor is I think he's a great guy. He's got a lot of great stuff that he says that, you know, just like Judy Peluso.
Yeah.
She's always got something to say that's amazing and
Oh, yeah,
makes you
she's
go.
great.
It makes you go like, wow, I never thought of it like
Yeah,
that. You
yeah,
know,
she's cool,
it's
yeah.
just
Very cool. Yeah.
She's a spiritual she's a shaman.
She's a shaman, and she does psychotherapy, and she does weddings and everything too.
Oh yeah, that's right. She
And,
does
and
weddings.
funerals and all that. So, what I was going to say is that what we miss most on this earth, and a lot of us don't realize it, is the oneness that we feel when we're back on the other side, when we're back with our spiritual families and back, in, you know, into the heavens and to the other places, when we're people of like mind, people who feel and think as we do, and we can communicate with our minds, and we don't feel alone. We feel alone on this planet. Everyone does, because you can't get that. It's like I want to say, Dina, look at that. Do you see what I see? Can you see what I'm seeing? I should say that to your brother all the time. He goes, I can't see what you're seeing. I said, oh, if only you could, you know. But you can do that if there's certain people that are so like-minded.
Well, yeah.
And you can do it on the other side, too. And that's what we miss. It makes us feel separate, that he's talking about. And
Well, I think that's one of the biggest issues these days.
that makes you
with
feel
people.
lonely. We're going to do some shows on loneliness, you know, coming up. So that's what we miss, the oneness.
I like though. Even as a little kid, I always hated to be the one left behind. I always hated when our dad would come and pick up my brother because he was older and take him places, and I was younger, so I was harder to watch. So I would get left behind.
Yeah.
That used to tear me apart. I always hated to be the one that was left out.
Well, You don't want to hear my side of that story. We'll
No.
just skip over that. That's why I don't talk to him very much these days.
Part of it, but the biggest part of it is, you know, what I'm getting at with that whole thing is being with everybody, being a family, being together, not being left out, not being alone. I think that, and what I was getting at before when I was talking about how the young kids these days, they don't like to be yelled, they don't like this. I think that if this world became a place where they realize that that type of thing isn't necessary. I mean, a lot of business owners believe that you can't run a good business unless you yell at your people and keep them in line and keep them doing this. But my whole thought was, you get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just how you brought me up, I don't know. But if my boss is good to me, I would do everything in my power to make them proud of me as an employee. You know, I would do everything in my power to let them know they hired the right person.
Right.
You know, and I'd be there.
I think they have a reality show now, don't they, about the boss pretends he's one of the employees?
Oh, yeah.
So you could get down with the people and understand. That's a good boss that will do that, you know?
Yeah, I like that.
But that's not just with bosses. That's with everything. That's with parents. That's with brothers and sisters. That's with family. That's with friends. It's the same kind of feeling, only a different scenario, you know? So, like back to the same old thing. Don't throw logs on someone's fire.
It's
Try to
difficult,
understand.
though. It's so difficult
Oh, I know.
sometimes when someone is mean to you day in and day out and day in and day out, and you know that their ultimate thoughts are you know, towards money or towards this or, you know, what they can get for themselves. I mean, I've seen bosses like that are just all about what they can get out of it for themselves, and it's hard. It's hard to find a reason. I mean, you used to say to me all the time, when someone makes you angry, pray for them and send them love. And I'd be like, I'm sending them daggers. I ain't sending them love.
I know.
You know, and it took me a long time to realize that maybe there's maybe they're just, you know, they're just an idiot. I mean, some people are just idiots and there's no reason for it. I don't know if they're born that way.
Well, idiot
if it's something they bring from another life into this life. Maybe they just haven't found, maybe they just don't believe in love. A lot of people don't believe in a higher power, you know, a lot of people that I talk to. So it's quite a burden to carry, and people are just, you know, out for themselves, and they step on whoever they have to step on
But there
to
again,
get where they're going.
it's true. And these people are here in this world like this, and they have a lot to learn. But they're also here to aggravate you enough to help you to not treat people like that, maybe realize what you've done to other people, and to try to find a way to help this person to see the light in some way or another. And there's some people that you really have to walk away from in one time or another, but how many people are going to give up their jobs, you know? So there's got to be another way around it. And I think that if people bond together, they probably could find a way, you know? There again.
Sometimes there are some people you just, you know, if people are, if we're all supposed to be learning and moving forward together, how is it that some people like that, and a lot of times it's bosses, you know, how do they not, I mean, when does it turn around for them?
I don't know.
When do they realize that for the last 20 years, they've been treating all their employees like crap?
I don't know, Dina.
I mean,
don't
what
know.
happens? Do they have to get an illness? Do they have to have a coming to Jesus moment? I mean, what happens?
That's between them and, you know.
Because sometimes you don't get to see it in your lifetime.
You know,
and you wonder if they're ever going to come around or...
Oh, you'll probably find out somewhere in some life or another. You bring up that about Jesus, and, you know, I've read a couple of books lately about Jesus coming back again. There's fiction stories. But it made me think, you know, that people think there's going to be a second coming. Jesus would not come again. What else is he going to tell us? He told us everything he could tell us. What else is he going to tell us? And in this day and age, who would listen?
Yeah.
All right? He's coming in our hearts, the movement, the waking of people. But when they expect another body to come in the body, and he taught us everything in the Sermon on the Mount and the Ten Commandments. That's what we're supposed to know. He taught us oneness. He taught us about loving our neighbor. He taught us about loving ourselves. He taught us all those things. But we're not listening. We didn't listen then. The apostles were a thick-headed bunch. And we're still not listening now. And if we could just do that and stop everything and listen, like your church you go to, that they're trying to help you to connect with him, and you have made that connection. And I've heard of other people lately who have all of a sudden started waking up and realizing, making that spiritual connection, all of a sudden thinking of things differently and thinking of things in a spiritual way and helping and everything. And it can happen. People can wake up like that.
Mm.
You know, they just have to believe. And you're
Well,
right.
I think when you're young, I honestly believe that. I mean, a lot of people have their young kids in church now, and they have a lot of at my church they have a whole upstairs with classrooms, and they teach the kids at Sunday school and stuff. But I think that a lot of people think when they're young they don't need to worry about all that stuff. They don't need to worry about asking God for anything because they're young and they're strong and they're healthy and they can do this and they can do that. I mean, you know, you have kids who are sick who are more in touch with that. But I don't think people think about it until they go through some kind of change in their life where they realize that they can't handle it on their own. Some people, not everybody. Some people just stay in that rut, you know, and it's so hard to pray for them and
I know,
and try to send them love. But then you realize in the long run that love is the only thing that's going to win them over, not hate.
no.
Because the more hate you send them, the colder it is for them, the harder it is for them. And it took me a really, really long time to realize and understand that the only way you can help them is to send them love and to hope that they get enough love in their heart one of these days where they'll be able to show others that. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to do, and it's hard to pray for people who are mean.
Makes you angry.
People who do evil things.
When people are acting against love, or they're not acting loving or whatever, you get angry. I know that. It's hard.
I get really angry at some people sometimes, but then I realize that getting angry back at someone who's screaming at you it's not going to help as much. I mean, I still have moments where I'm, you know, all fingers, I should say, but then I realize sometimes I don't realize it right away because I let myself get angry. Then I turn around and say, you know, that's not helping. That's not helping. You know, I recently had a conversation with a coworker about a higher up person that was giving him grief constantly, giving him grief. And if I hadn't known that person's life story, I might have sided with him and said, well, that's a lot's going on. But I knew that this person had gone through some trauma in their lives, some major trauma and some major loss, and I don't think has ever really fully recovered from it. And so I think he lashes out at people because that hurt is still there after all these years. And I don't think that he's ever found anything to replace what he lost. And so he lives in that sense of loss, and it's a tough life. It's a tough life to not be able to let the love back in again.
I know. Sometimes all you really want is a kind and loving word from somebody to say, that's okay. It's all right. Just put their arm around you or give you a kiss on the cheek if you could get close enough to them. Or just to put your hand on their arm or something and just say, you know, it's okay. You don't even have to understand why they're doing it, what's going on or anything. Just sending that, just giving that love, just letting them feel it. Just letting them know. And some people may pull away from you and go, oh, but they'll forget.
Get off.
They won't forget it. It touches something in someone.
Sometimes. Most times. Not all the time.
No, but it's worth a try. It's really worth a try.
There's some people out there that are just cold no matter what, or they'll just take whatever you say and turn it into, you know, something to strike back at you with, and that's when you just have to walk away.
Yeah, you have to walk. Sometimes, you know, you can't. You shouldn't push yourself on anyone.
No.
You shouldn't say, oh, I'm going to change the world and I got to go and change that person. No. That's not up to you to do that. And most of the time, you change people by your example, by just being loving, being kind, doing kind things, living your life the way you do. I know a woman who does that, and people really gravitate towards her because she's kind to everyone, and she's nice, and she listens to everyone, and she tries to live her life she walks the talk, you know, what she says. She does do that, and people love her, and that's a way of changing your life. She doesn't try to change anyone, but I've heard from other people that just by listening to her, being around her as a friend, their lives change. So that sometimes all you can do is by your own example. You know, people say, gee, why is she so happy all the time? Why does she seem so content and happy? You know, I need to find out what it is. That happens too. That's another way to do it.
Well, maybe I think too, not carrying all those burdens around anymore. I mean, I was carrying a lot of burdens starting last summer. Towards the end of last summer, I was carrying a lot of burden around. I had a bunch of loss in my life, and it was just so heavy that I couldn't handle it anymore. So I started to think, you know, when was I my happiest? What was it that made me happy? When was I truly like carefree and happy and loving life? And I went back to the time when we moved here, and I met some friends in school, some of my very first friends that I met here, and I joined a youth group with them. They were already in it, and they brought me in to join. And we had the best times in that youth group. We went all these different places. And I mean, we were, 13, 14 years old? They took us all over the place. We did all these great things. We were together. You know, we would have church on Sunday. But, you know, when you're a kid, you don't always pay attention to as much stuff as you do when you're an adult. But those were like some of my happiest times. And so I said, I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to go back to the church again. I'm going back. I'm going home. I want to get involved with the youth group and maybe help make those kids' lives as happy as mine was when I went through that.
Well, that's good.
And it wasn't until I got back there that I started to feel like that oneness again, that wholeness with everybody.
So you had an aha moment.
Mm.
Your angels and guides and teachers and animals were trying to get through to you. They finally got through to you. Because that's how they do it.
Because I'm thick-headed.
No thunder and lightning and clashing of cymbals. It doesn't happen that way. It's very gentle. It kind of eggs in like a nice soft summer breeze, you know? That's how it happens. And all of a sudden you go, wait a minute. Okay, I got to do it that way. So that's what happens to people. So if you're waiting for all that drama, God is not dramatic. Not at all.
Sometimes the best way to get past sadness and depression is to go out and do something for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're sitting home and you're sad and you're lonely and you're hurting, go out and do something for somebody. Go visit people in the nursing home. You know how lonely they are? We go there all the time. Those people are lonely. Some people that are living there don't have any family left. Nobody comes to see them. It's like, you know, they're lonely. And I've heard the nurses say some people just come in and visit. You know, I don't think you can bring food or any of that stuff, but just to come in and visit. So when the people come in and they bring their dogs to the nursing homes that are the pets that people can pet and stuff, the smiles on their faces, they just love it. I mean, go do something. Go visit the nursing home and just say hello to somebody and put your hand on them. Go to a kennel, and you can go to a shelter and they'll let you take the dogs for a walk around the compound, some of them.
Those are nice things to do.
Spend some time with them.
Well, sweetie, I hate to interrupt you, but we're going to have to give our...
Is it that time already?
Yeah, it is. We're going to have to give our contact information. So to learn more information about this show or any of our past shows, please contact us at whitebuffalo@comcast.net, or to reach me, phone 203-627-7966, or visit my website, www.rosemarylachance.com. To write a letter, the address here is NHTV, 127 Washington Avenue, North Haven, Connecticut, and we're also on Facebook under Healing Outside the Box. And I want to tell you that we're changing our schedule a little bit. Starting on Monday, May 11th, we're going to be on at 8 p.m. on Mondays from now on. We're still going to be live, but it's going to be Mondays starting on May 11th, okay, at 8 p.m. So look for us then. That'll be our next live show.
And I'll be back on May 18th.
Yes, Dina will be back on May 18th. I think we're going to have Jimmy with us on the next show. Good night.
Be happy. And make
Love
someone
one
else
another.
happy.
Love one another.
Feel the comfort flow inside you. Come this far, you understand.